All right, everybody. Good morning. We are on to yet another rookie today. We are moving on to the next Seahawks draft pick. Once again, I will be doing a series of videos on each guy the Seahawks selected. We're going to break them down every way that we can break them down before they actually get on the field and start playing. And we're going to try to understand exactly what these guys are and what they're going to be able to hopefully do for us. So, yesterday, we did Byron Murphy II, and in this video series, we're going to be doing Christian Haynes, a pick that I really, really liked a lot. In fact, you might even say that I loved it. I thought it was great value. I thought that it filled a relatively clear need. I think that it made us better at a position that we needed to get better at. And I think that it all pretty much came together here. The only thing I can say about this pick is I don't view it as some tremendous steal. I think that he was supposed to, well, not supposed to, but I thought he was going to go in the early third. He ended up going in the mid third, so it's good, but it wasn't anything like crazy. Like, I remember when Abe Lucas went in the third round of the Seahawks a couple years ago. That blew me away. I never thought Abe Lucas would be there in the third. I thought he might go in the late first. Christian Haynes went in the rough area. I thought he was going to go, but other than that, everything about this pick was an absolute winner for me. So now let's try to understand what exactly Christian Haynes is bringing, and we're going to start with Christian Haynes by the numbers. So, what are the numbers of Christian Haynes? What did he do at Connecticut? So, first of all, Christian Haynes is a right guard, and he is a pure right guard as of right now. He has literally played every snap of his career at right guard, or at the very least, he hasn't played any snaps at any of the other offensive line positions. Never played at center or left guard, so if you're thinking about moving him to one of those positions, you might be able to do it. Just understand that he hasn't done it in a game yet. Played for the Connecticut Huskies, also known as UConn. Turned 24 just a little bit ago, so he just turned 24 years old, which is a little bit older for a rookie, but not anything wrong with that necessarily. You just have to understand that if you're comparing him to a guy who's like 21, there's probably less room for him to grow beyond what he is. He probably is somewhat close to a finished product here at 24 years old. So I think that needs to be understood. Not to say that he won't get better. I'm sure he will. He's making a big jump from college to the NFL. But just understand what is expected here. His measurables, really, really effective. Really, really good here. 6'2" and 3/4. So just under 6'3", which is the 9th percentile for guards in combine history, which, again, I think being short as a lineman is good, especially when you're on the interior. You don't want to be too tall because then you lose leverage. So I think Christian Haynes being this short is actually a positive thing. Now, it's not always going to be a positive thing, but I would much rather have a shorter guard than a taller guard, because the taller guard is going to get bullied by guys who can get underneath his pads, and the shorter guard doesn't have to worry about that. So just under 6'3", great. 317 pounds, which is 64th percentile for all guards. If you were to compare him to right guards, he's probably a little lighter than average. Most right guards are bigger than this. However, assuming that we're looking to build an offensive line of athletes, guys who can play in space, guys who can move, guys who can handle zone responsibilities, you kind of have to accept a little bit of a lighter player, or else what's the point? How's it going to work? I don't think that you can reasonably expect to find a right guard prospect that is 335 pounds and is also a remarkable athlete who can play in space. Bradford was kind of close to that last year, and I think we've kind of seen that while he is big and while he is athletic, it hasn't totally translated yet into what he does on the field. So you're not going to get everything, right? And if you do, it's probably going to be a guy who goes really high in the draft. 33.5-inch arms, which is slightly above average for a guard. It's not ideal, but it's good enough. 33.5-inch arms for an interior offensive lineman is going to fly. I don't look at this and go, oh, he's going to have to move to center. This is an inch shorter than Troy Photon, who is supposedly going to be playing left tackle in the NFL. So I don't think having a right guard with 1 inch shorter arms is going to be an issue. Um, there are going to be some tackles he goes up against that have longer arms than this, and they're going to give him some problems, but it's not bad. And he has very small hands. He has 9-inch hands, the second percentile. So some of the smallest hands of any guard ever. Again, read into that as you will. I don't think it's as big a deal as it could be for some other positions, but offensive linemen use their hands. They're playing patty cake with these defensive tackles. They're grabbing, they're holding on, they're latching on. I guess you would probably prefer to have bigger hands here. Combine performance was mostly great. 5:03:40 time, 93rd percentile, so he's one of the fastest guards to go through the combine process ever. He also had a remarkable vertical jump, 33 inches, 94th percentile. For a guy who's going to be playing right guard, that's very, very impressive. So he's got speed and he's got explosiveness. His 10-yard split was not anything over the top crazy, but it was very good. 175, which is 77th percentile. Again, for a right guard that is very athletic. Most of the athletic guards tend to end up on the left side. 8 foot 6 inch broad is about average for a guard. For a right guard, it would be well above average, I think. So again, he continues to be a phenomenal athlete for the position. And 25 bench press reps was about average for a guard, which most right guards are probably going to do a little bit better than this, but most right guards are also going to not be this athletic. So you're not going to be like Larry Allen and still be this athletic, right? You're not going to crank out 800 bench press reps, have that kind of strength to just completely dominate people, and also be great on the move. And if you are, you're going to be, like I said, a first-round pick. So as for his career as a player, 2018, he played the first 2 games of the year. He started both, and then he got redshirted, basically. He played the entirety of the first game, and then he played like half of the second game, and then they decided they had seen enough. He played fine. It's not like he played really so badly they had to get him out of there. 60 snaps across the 2 games. He allowed 1 hurry, and that's it. Every snap at right guard. 31 of his snaps were run blocking, 29 were pass blocking. Of his run blocking snaps, 17 were zone and 10 were gap. So small sample sizes here all around. The grades were good. 67.7, 65.3 run block, 79.9 pass block. So 2018, he gets his feet wet and then he gets redshirted. And once he takes the starting job full time in 2019, he would begin a streak of 49 consecutive starts at right guard for UConn. 49. 12 games in 2019. By the way, UConn's mostly a pretty bad team, so they're not making a lot of bowl games. So he only gets the opportunity to play 12 games a year most of the time. 835 snaps. He's playing the whole season, basically. Maybe at the end of a blowout, he'll get benched every now and then, but he's playing most of the season. Allows 5 sacks, 2 QB hits, and 14 hurries, and also commits 7 penalties. So definitely some rough edges here, right? Like that's 21 quarterback pressures in 12 games from a right guard. You don't like that. That's not something that you would be coveting very highly, right? Every snap he played was at right guard. 455 pass block snaps, 380 run block reps, and of his run block reps, 191 were listed as zone and 163 gap. So he's got a good mix of both, which, I mean, most linemen do that, but it's important that these guys get experience in both because we don't totally know what Grubb is going to do. Grubb at Washington had a lot of gap-based runs his first year, and then his second year he switched to zone. So he's capable of doing both, and I don't want to assume that offensive lineman's only going to need to do one. So he's building experience with both. He graded out pretty well, 66.6 overall, 69 run block, 65.3 pass block. So it was a good season for a first try at it. It was very good for a first try. And there was a lot that he needed to improve on. Now, 2020, he didn't improve on any of it because UConn played no games because of COVID. UConn was one of the teams that just had their whole season canceled, so he didn't get to do anything in 2020. Now, 2021, he comes right back. He's the starter again, plays all 12 games, 815 snaps. allows 2 sacks, 2 hits on the quarterback, and 7 hurries. So you're looking at 11 total QB pressures. That's less than 1 a game. Big improvement. And only 2 penalties as well, by the way. Plays every snap that he was listed as playing a position at right guard. 508 pass blocking, 307 run blocking, and his zone and gap splits are almost even. 144 zone, 132 gap. So he's getting a wide range of experience doing run blocking stuff. You can see that both of these 2 years, UConn was definitely favoring the pass, especially in 2021. They threw the ball a lot. Graded out well, 72 overall, 71.3 run blocks, 76.2 pass blocks. So he's building up, he's getting there, he's improving, making strides as a player, going the right way. And then 2022, he really starts to arrive. He really starts to lay his claim as an elite player. This was one of the years he was named All-American on the AP team. He was 3rd team, I think. And he would get that same nod in 2023, which it's very rare for a UConn player to make All-American in any capacity. And he did it twice in a row. 13 games, so UConn actually made a bowl game this year. 807 snaps, only allowed 1 hit and 2 QB hurries in those 13 games. 3 total pressures in 13 games. Remarkable come up here. His penalties went the wrong way. He committed 9 penalties this year, which that is something that we're going to come back to as we talk more about this guy, but you can see the massive improvement in his pass protection. Plays every snap at right guard. Now UConn becomes a very run-heavy team. They had 459 run blocking plays for Haynes versus only 348 pass blocking plays. So you can see that they became a run-first team, first and foremost. So we got a lot of run blocking here, and most of the run blocking was zone. 273 to 144, which, again, I want to have guys who know how to do both, but it's good to see that he's starting to lean the way of zone because I do think that's more important for what Grubb is going to try to do. And he graded out really well. 83.9 PFF, 84.6 run blocking, 91 pass blocking. Had a great year. It was a big breakout year, and at this point, he was clearly going to be something. In 2023, he had another really good season. It wasn't as good as the previous one. Played 12 games, 802 snaps, allowed 1 sack, 1 hit, 10 hurries. So he did go back to allowing about 1 QB pressure a game, which was obviously a big step down from 2022. However, he only committed 4 penalties. So he was able to more than cut the penalty problem in half. So things trended in the right direction for him there. So you take the good with the bad. And there was some good and some not so good here. But I don't think any of it was really bad, honestly. Like 1 QB pressure allowed per game for a right guard playing on UConn with very little going on around you is that's going to get it done most of the time for me. Every snap at right guard, 438 pass block snaps, 364 run block snaps. So a little more pass blocking than run blocking. Almost 2.5 to 1. It was zone to gap on the run blocking. So a lot more zone than gap, which, again, I want somebody who can do both, but I think it's preferable for zone. Graded out 80.2, 80.1 run block, 82.5 pass block. So graded out really well. And that gets us to career totals of 51 games played in. And 49 of those games were a start streak. 3,319 snaps, 8 sacks allowed, 6 hits, and 34 hurries. So that's really impressive. The 22 penalties are probably a little on the not so great side when you compare to other players, but we'll talk more about that later. Every snap he played was at right guard. He had almost 1,800 pass block snaps, over 1,500 run block snaps, 850 zone snaps, and 550 gap snaps for run plays. So you won't find very many players that played more at one position than Christian Haynes. Offensive linemen that play this much over their college career have probably bumped around and they played like 3 or 4 different positions. No, this guy was a pure right guard at all times. So you won't find somebody who understands the nuances of the position much better than this. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks. We'll go deeper later today.